and Sewell's wasn't on the, didn't have he wasn't on call design firm. And that, of course, delayed the project. Delayed the project.
The new price.
And then the new guys want 3 times the money.
Oh, yikes.
We just signed today for 66,000 for that. And the Sewell's, of course, was gonna volunteer and help them be the construction supervisors and inspection. And now they're looking, our public works allow TDNH to also be charged an additional 50,000.
Yeah, right.
It seems like a lot to me. Brian, is it worth a retraction over the other? And do a little more legwork?
Well, I think we should hold the line, and I'm talking to the guys downstairs. And we let that is, and Don Paul, the construction supervision, and do it as a volunteer basis. We don't need to spend their, I know that's not theirs, but their grant money on a process that they feel like they can accomplish. That's, I think, what it's really upset about, is if we take, and as he said, excuse my language, piss away another 50,000 on pushing paper of their money that they ought to do water system.
So this complaint is about paper pushers and our policy, our procurement policy.
Yep.
Jill has told
It's
us
more-
time and time again, that's what we're held to, the
I know.
procurement policy.
It's more than that, it's also personnel between Mike, and he has said 3 times he wants Craig back. Oh, it's also a unwillingness to be flexible, and a attitude and a culture of taking everything to the extreme.
Right.
And an unwillingness to work with them, perceived, I won't just say perceived, unwillingness to work with them. And that everything is by the book, everything is check the boxes, we don't care what it costs.
But we can't just go with the cheapest.
I know that, I know.
There are guardrails for.
It's one of those things where there has to be some collaboration.
It is, but I would say, perception being 9/10 of reality, some of it is coming to terms with the idea that the county is taking responsibility because these are taxpayer dollars and we have it. Where so much was done by volunteer. When we're involved, we largely don't have that option.
No.
You can't send Joe electrician to help out over the weekend, have somebody get fried,
Mhm.
Right.
and we're on the hook for it.
Again, they were gonna have an engineer.
Yeah.
They were gonna have a professional engineer do it for 1/3 the cost. This was not something. Okay.
And we've seen some of those bids come across where there's just a wide variation there. Where's TD&H based out of?
I think they're Coeur d'Alene or somewhere else. TDNH does a great job. I've had friends with them in town, and they're also very nice. And they know how to work the system. You know, that's their business. They do the job. But for what price? And the main concern there is, he said, they're gonna get discouraged and they're not gonna go after these grants.
Judge Leck and panels. Do you see my whole underthing on the?
So I'm happy if people.
You can see there, I'm just waiting for a break to say something to Judge Leck.
No. Okay, TDNH didn't. They deserve to be paid for it. We need to honor that. I think the big issue is just going forward. We need to really think about the. Just about that, hey, is it needed, and if it is needed, then let's put that for bid. Let's not just have TDNH do it.
So we don't, to verify, I get it.
It's their,
Right. Yeah, nobody came through loud and clear from John Paul that they had funds available for the actual underground work that's shrinking rapidly. And that's a problem.
And when you look at a $200,000 project, and 50 of it was kind of.
Well, I think the piece that's missing that is inside of our headlights, Brian, is to say, those dollars aren't stretching far enough with the bids we got. And we have to tighten we have to tighten that up.
Yep.
And so that's maybe the piece that was missing, to say, I think we can do better.
Yep.
And let's find a way to get there. It felt inflated, I did this for 20 years, I mean. Years.
Yeah.
Acres and acres. And that's a lot. There's the inspection part specifically, I don't know how you spin that inspection.
Yeah, well, you know how farmers and people are, they, John Paul and Thaddeus said they could have drawn that out in about 4 hours and saved us $50,000.
Well, yeah.
Oh. And I actually believe him.
Hello, Judge Leck. And Pam, how are you today?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. I wanted to confirm, Judge Leck, that you don't have a hearing today. You're able to stay for the budget?
He does have a docket, but we've kind of put it off until 2 o'clock, so he must not be at his desk right this second.
Okay, thanks for that, Pam.
Uh-huh.
Work checklist is a attendance check. Your attendance?
Here it is.
What we're gonna be doing.
The brain starts to not work good or just spits up across the table on me.
Oh, just
Yeah,
thinking
we need
that.
help.
Don't do that. Okay, coffee break right now.
I see the Selkirk Sun is catering the meeting.
Does anyone in Conrad County have a good clam chowder?
Probably sometimes.
Do they sometimes?
Mhm.
Just if you hit their,
Fridays
happens to be their
usually,
soup of the day,
yeah.
then. Okay.
I don't think Sidewalk has done it yet that I've seen.
I wonder. It's the one in Usbear, Melanie's Bakery. So she's actually really good at soups. I wonder if she does a clam chowder now again.
She used to do that at the Western and
At the West.
Medellin. It was really good. It kind of changed how they do things.
Are you trying to get into Zoom?
I'm gonna try to get it and it kicked me off.
Guy that owns the Western. He used to fish a lot in Alaska, commercial
Mm.
fishing. Did halibut and clam chowder. Did halibut chowder. That was good.
I think I've lost my. Oh,
Is that Wes?
Yep.
oh, Crystal. I've lost my internet connection.
Hi, Marianne and Jill. I see you over there.
Hi. Hello.
Who's the lead on this meeting?
Catch that?
You'll turn it over to Pam, right? She has the spreadsheet.
Is she gonna put it up, Crystal's and find it?
Are you not able to connect to?
It kicked me off the internet. So I'm not sure. Get on. You might have to put it up.
Didn't you come down here and just try and connect again? You wanna try and connect with the. I suggest maybe into the old courthouse with the password I would give you.
Yeah.
All right. That'd be helpful, just because you're right here and you can scroll wherever they needed to see it.
Okay, if I turn it over to Pam. All right, we're ready to roll. Pam, would you like to take over, please?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I guess our purpose today was going to be for the adoption of our proposed 2025 Tri-County Judicial District budgets for Superior Court and Juvenile Court. With that in mind, I think Jill Shacklet was going to share her screen.
Part of the Perry County Commission forum there.
Perry County, could you tell us who you have with you for fellow commissioners to make sure we have a quorum?
Yes, sir. You have Bob Dean and Zach.
That I hit everybody after our meeting on October 28th. We have the discussion about adding in the grant revenue and expenditure lines for fiscal year 26 in there. And so Jill and I went back, revised the spreadsheet, and you can see those have been added in under the light blue columns. The only change that we've made at this time is if you keep, scroll back up to the Superior Court under printing right there, that darker blue. We have adjusted the printing, this is for all of our law books that we have. And as of right now, the cost of those for 2024 was about $340. So with Thomas
So
Road.
can you hold on, Pam?
Sure.
We are not able to follow you because we're still trying to find out if we can get sound.
Oh, okay.
Here comes Trevor.
So just hang on a minute, please.
Okay.
Sorry about the black bars. We don't know how to get rid of them altogether.
That's okay. While we're waiting, this is Jill Jacobs, Chief Deputy Auditor, Stevens County. I will be here until about 5 minutes to 2, where I have another appointment I need to make. So I just wanted to let you know I'm here until then. So if I disappear, that's what happened.
Testing volume for Commissioner McCart. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, we're good to go now. Thank you. So if you could start over with what you did, I'm sorry.
That's okay. All right. So the basis, the We're here today to approve or hopefully adopt the 2025 proposed budget for the Tri-County Judicial District for Superior Court and Juvenile Court Services. Last time we met when we proposed the budget was October 28th. At that time, we had decided we needed to make some additions to the spreadsheet to include our fiscal year 26 grants. I went back, worked with Jill, and then emailed that out to everybody on the afternoon of October 28th. So the spreadsheet that you are currently viewing shows our proposal with those additions. Those are all in the light blue. That's reflecting our fiscal year 26 grants, revenue and expenditures for those. The only change to that spreadsheet that we have also made is up under printing, under the expenses in Superior Court right there. We are asking to increase the printing expense for our law books, just kind of upping it to probably $6,200. Currently, we spent $5,340 for 2024, and Thomas Reuters has advised that it's probably a 10 to 15% increase each year. So I figured with that 6,200, that should cover us for that. So that would be the only change from what we last proposed.
So Pam, we have a question here related to adding fiscal 26.
Mm-hmm.
So you're only adding 6 months of the fiscal 26. So in other words, you're trying to calculate the entire 25 grant revenue, correct?
So the 25 half of our fiscal year 25 grant revenue, and then it should be half of 26.
Okay, that's what I figured. I'm just clarifying.
Yes. And did anybody have any questions?
So what did we end up doing on your salary?
That is up to the board. No decision has been made on that.
No, but what's it in here as?
It's in there as the 45%, which was what we initially proposed, 45% of the judges' salaries.
Didn't Rosencrantz have a?
Say it.
Didn't Rosencrantz bring up something in the last meeting?
Yes, I did.
There was an email that was sent out. And that would be up to the board to address.
So this is Lec. We did leave it off. There wasn't any formal vote. After that, there was an objection from Commissioner Rosencrantz, and we got Pondere's proposal that it not be tied to the salary, but that it just be a 3% increase. If there's any opportunity for further comment, I'd like to make some. Otherwise, I think the boards just need to vote on it.
So I might muted. I have a procedural question that I kind of come to every year, and that's that we did not advertise this as a continuation of our hearing that we had yesterday. So any decisions that we make today are tentative on adoption of our actual budget when we adopt it. And the same is true, like even with Martin Hall. It's essentially the same thing. We can vote to move forward, but until we actually adopt it in an open public meeting, it is not kind of a done deal. But I would like to hear the salary discussion, because like, no offense, but looking forward, tying this to tying the administrator's salary to the Superior Court judge's salary that's set at the state kind of ties the county's hands and would take a joint resolution. That's what we've done in the past, way back. Setting it at the 45% for this year can be a discussion point, but it's a different discussion to keep it at that permanently moving forward.
And no, and I appreciate that. And as I indicated before, it was something that I was floating out there because I know that both Oreille and Stevens tie a lot of different salaries to the Superior Court judge's salary. So that's not a hill that I want to die on. When I made my pitch last year for the salary, the pushback that I got was, well, Evelyn's retiring and Pam's not Evelyn, so we don't think that Pam should get Evelyn's salary. So I presented the comps from all of the different jurisdictions that have joint juvenile and superior court court administrators. And after that was presented, there was an acceptance that those were comparable salaries. And ultimately, Pam's salary remained unchanged from Evelyn's salary when she retired. So the position did not receive any sort of raise last year because the person was leaving, was the argument that I had last year. So in preparation for this meeting this year, I had the exact same preparation that I did last year. I went to all the same jurisdictions that have a joint juvenile and superior court administrator. I presented those salary comparisons. I talked about how well Pam's doing. And this year, the pushback that I got was, well, we should pay the position and not the person. When I pointed out that the comparables justified the salary, I was told that the comparables were likely not going to be sufficient, even though they were accepted last year. So the 102, if you want to just call it 102, it's still the low court administrator in the state that has a joint juvenile department. I think it more than adequately takes into consideration any kind of economic positions. Again, the position didn't get any kind of bump last year. So if this is something that we don't want to tie to the salary of the judge, I appreciate that, because then it takes the control of the salary, the budget out of the hands of the boards, puts it in the state. We can't wind things back if there's economic problems. But we have cut tens of thousands of dollars, and that's not an understatement, in books alone. This last year, we did a total audit of our IT budget, and we got rid of redundant technologies that our juvenile probation officers had. We just got rid of a $5,000 computer in Pend Oreille County. And I know that I'm the voice when it comes to Superior Court, but the reality is that Pam is the one that's working day in and day out in that position to save this Tri-County Judicial District all of this money. And I think that work should be recognized. And I think that the proposed salary is within the realm of reasonness, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
So what is the current salary? Just because I don't have it in front of me. And I'm asking the question, I know, but we're all interested in it.
The current salary is $94,630.
And Robert, you were the one saying 3%. So what does that amount end up being? And can we hear from you what your justification is?
Yeah, the 3% is about a $2,800 raise. The reasons that the judge articulated they're fine. I would expect that at this salary level anyway, the current salary level. That's a pretty robust salary. I understand the responsibilities. I find the current salary at a 3% increase completely in line with what I'd expect the performance to be from that position.
So you're proposing 97.5 basically.
Correct. Whatever the 3% increase is.
Well, I'm because we're putting it up on the big screen here, I'm having trouble getting my mouse to move, but 3% was 97,468.90. I just rounded it up. So what are the other commissioners thinking in Pend Oreille?
You know, I'll say for my part, Wes, I think I, for the sake of accuracy, it is only our elected that are tied to state Superior Court judge. And I know, like, already qualified, he's not gonna die in that ditch. I would be, I'm really diametrically opposed to that. We have to have that much control over our budget. And this one's extra complicated because it's tri-county, right? So I think we really want to maintain control over that. I think we're all comfortable with it for as long as it's Pam, but when it's not Pam, you know, are we, right? So those things change over time. I would hate to tether it to something that's going to take a big resolution to draw back. I think I'm here, Leck, in this one. It isn't so much, this isn't a performance increase per se. You are trying to close the gap between her and the other multi-jurisdictional superior courts. Is that accurate, Lex?
I think that's a fair representation, yes.
So somewhere in between that, Wes, is kind of where I'm landing. I mean, my top performers are 5 or 6% increase, but Lex trying to cover some ground here. So I could be moved off of 3, but boy, my rocket ships in this county are getting 5, and it's a tight budget here for us. So I mean, that's a big ask.
So I had us on mute, and Greg went, "Oh boy," because I mean, Robert's very well aware of the discussions we've had at Tri-County Health and where we've been at that. So what about Ferry County? We haven't heard from them.
Berry County's been joined by Commissioner Danzel also.
Yeah, I guess, if I'm going good to speak,
Yeah, go.
I am of the mindset to listen to the judge. And I respect what Lance had to say, all the commissioners. But unless we're in some budget scenario that we're not able to withstand, I believe in the value of keeping people. I remember when Evelyn Bell was in that position, the amount of times that I personally had to phone call her on non-working occasions for advice when a judge wasn't available. I think that we could be kind of we're looking at a real long term here. I don't know about that ramification if you want to tie it for future boards, for example. But as far my general overall approach would be, as long as the budget, the bottom line, isn't getting blown to smithereens, then let the judge make his call, man. And you know, that's kind of how I operate, though. My deal is kind of like, I don't do the pointing out of who the rocket ships are, for example. I let the other elected officials do that, and then they are the ones to determine in our budgets what kind of a raise they get from the pool of money that we have. And so I probably maybe just have a different approach, but I'm more of, instead of a top-down budget person, I kind of like having the feedback from the judge who's got to work there day in and day out and knows what it would take to probably keep a hold of people. So I think when you do combined budgets like this, there are 2 things that stand out. The part of this really truly is an obligation that we're carrying out on behalf of the state of Washington. So it's a little bit different. And so tying a salary to those salaries, I understand the logic. I'm not saying I can't be swung off of it, but that's how everything else is arrived at in that world. So that's understandable. And then finally, I was really kind of listening to Judge Rosinski there when he was talking about the reasons he was told no last year and then this year. And my biggest concern is just not having the stability and the consistency that they can operate in a good way, because we've got it pretty good here. I know that the Tri-County things, a lot of them are never really well looked upon, but I think it works out pretty good. And that's easy for me to say because we're the smallest county, but that's my 2 cents worth.
I'll go along with, Mr. Danzel here, except for one thing. I don't think we should tie that salary to the state. We lose control of the, abilities to, determine what happens.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of be in the same spot right there with the I like in the right circumstances, I like tying salaries to other things because it kind of takes some of the guesswork out, or not guesswork, but some of the machinations out of it. But I think in this case, it seems to me like it would be more beneficial to resist tying that to the Superior Court judge salaries, so that, as has been said before, so that we still have we can still pull the levers on that one. But as far as the salary piece is concerned, I'm gonna go with my seatmates here. That I think the judge makes a good case.
Yeah, I hear you, Wes.
Well, unfortunately, they made me the presenter over here in our office. And I already have 3 screens. And when I added the 4th, the mouse seems to want to jump around instead of being on the right screen. So sorry about that, everybody. I know, Greg, you had something you wanted to say.
Yeah, no, I would agree with most of the other commissioners, not tying it to the judge's salary. I think we should do that. Like I said, that makes it even more complicated, and I've still got multiple union negotiations to try to solve this year. We are going to have a very difficult time balancing the budget. So, I mean, a 3% increase, 3 to 5, somewhere in between, I would agree with.
Well, I think we kind of all tend to agree that we don't want to permanently tie it to the judge's salary. And I'll say for the record, it's only our electeds over here also that are tied to the Superior Court judges' salaries. So I unfortunately would hate to say us do that, because it sets a precedent that I know everybody and his brother will want to jump on the bandwagon for, which means the state's dictating our budget instead of us, and we are not Olympia. How did you, at the salary you've got, because 102,775 is sort of an odd number.
He brought us comps the first round, Wes, like brought us comps from the other multi-jurisdictional courts.
The 102 and change, I'm sorry, is just the 45% of the salary of this. That's how I arrived at the number, which was the original pitch. But no, I hear you all on the tying of the salary. So if I need to formally withdraw that or anything, then I don't want to take away that authority from the board.
Is there a percentage point that we want to talk about? Maybe a percentage point that we could agree on, or anybody thinking the same thought?
Yeah, I mean, well, as a point of reference, 5% would be 99,361, but frankly, guys, we're down to a couple $1,000s here, so I'm losing interest in being hung over a couple $1,000s.
All right, let's call it 4% and move on.
And you're muted again, Wes. I don't know if that's intentional or otherwise.
So that wasn't me, that was Robert that said 4%.
Yes.
If we did the 102,000 even, that's 8,500 a month. which seems like a much more round number. If you go 5%, you're looking at around 99.4. Speak up, Greg.
Yeah, I'm around 5%, and that's,
So you'd want to go with the 99.4?
yeah.
So that's the proposal Greg's got is 99.4, which is a 5% increase.
Does Mark have an opinion here?
Yeah, I could go for that. I wouldn't be losing any sleep over that at all.
Yeah, it's not gonna break our budget.
Each of the counties would make. Okay.
If it makes any difference, Ferry County is good with the 5%.
So what did I say? 97.5. So that makes it 97. Might as well round it up. 97.5. No, more than that.
Yeah,
What did I just say?
99,361 is what our math is.
Right. Sorry. I got too many numbers on my calculator again. So does somebody want to kind of like make a motion to that? Are we agreeing to that by consensus? What?
Really, all we need is a motion for the final budget, right? If we're sort of softly there.
Well, if you're softly there, we can put that in. And I take it you want to raise the line on the printing to the 6,200.
Have any problems with the printing? We're good there, Wes.
Heads up, Honduras County has a 2 o'clock hard stop for an exit conference with the state auditor's office.
So if you guys want to go ahead and certify that this is good this way, we can do that. I think we're good over here.
Okay, how about I just so that all of our bases are covered, I'll just crank through this. I'll move that we approve a pay increase for Superior Juvenile Court Administrator Pam Ray of 5% effective January 1, 2025.
That
There's motion second. Any further? All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes.
Okay, and then if we're ready, I'll make a motion to approve the Tri-County Judicial District budget for Superior Court Juvenile Court for 2025.
I'll second that as well.
I will just add that to be ratified as our individual budgets at home.
Second for the amended motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the amended motion. Any further?
Who was the second?
I think it was Mark Burrows.
Mark Burrows.
Correct.
Right. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, we've adopted the budget.
I'd just
Thank
like
you
to,
all.
thank you. I'd like to add that Pam does a wonderful job, a remarkable job, sometimes an impossible job. So thanks, Pam.
Well done.
Thank you, Mark.
I have a question. This is the clerk. Can I get who made that motion, the first one?
It was John, Commissioner Gentle for both.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Now, if I can get us out of here.
All right, thank you, Perry County. All right, State Auditor's Office is in the house. Welcome all. I'm gonna turn this over to Marion and Jill to lead us off.
I thought I saw Shelby on too. Is she not there now? Oh.
I saw her there.
Okay, gotcha, okay. All right, well, this is our exit conference for the accountability audit, and then also, I believe we had some hotline calls that we also, they spent a little bit more time investigating those as well, so they'll be giving us, or talking about both of those today. But whoever wants to start, go ahead.
All right, so we have everyone from the county we're hoping to have.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go ahead and just start with the introduction. So as Marianne mentioned, we're doing the exit conference for the accountability audit for Pend Oreille County. So we already had the financial statement and single audit exit conference a while back to meet the single audit deadline. So just kind of doing some introductions from our side. So my name is Brad White. I'm the audit manager for the Team Spokane, which is the team responsible to audit the county. And then I'm also the county program manager for the state auditor's office. So that's why I have the two titles listed there. And then on this audit, Alex Lycan was the audit supervisor of the audit. And then Shelby was the audit lead. So she's the auditor in charge and did most of the work and communication with the county. And then either Marion, if you wanted to do introductions or if each of you just want to introduce yourself, that either way works great for us.
We could just introduce ourselves. I'm Marianne Nichols, Pend Oreille County Auditor.
Jill Shacklet, Pend Oreille County Financial Manager.
Nicole Dice, Pend Oreille County Treasurer.
Robert Rosencrantz, Pend Oreille County Commissioner, District 2.
John General, County Commissioner.
Brian Smiley, County Commissioner, District 3, Pend Oreille County.
And Clerk of the Board, Crystal Zitsky's back there.
All right, so I'm going to hand it over to Shelby. She's going to start with the accountability report. So this is essentially the results of the audit, and this is what the public would see. So I just kind of like to remind everyone of that the public doesn't see, you know, unless we have a finding, which would be included in the report. If we have exit items or management letters or those sorts of things, they're not included in the report. So the report is really what people see of the overall results for each of our audits.
Shelby, it looks like your microphone isn't working at the moment. It looks like Shelby might be having some issues, Brad, so I will go ahead and jump in and take over for her. All right, so as Brad said, we presented or we conducted the accountability audit report for the period of January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. And as it says up there on the screen, this report describes the overall results and conclusions for the areas that we examined. And so as it says there in the blue box, in those selected areas, county operations complied in all material respects with applicable state laws, regulations, and its own policies, and provided adequate safeguards, adequate controls over the safeguarding of public resources. So this is what we consider a clean audit for the accountability audit.
Yay!
This is the opinion you want. Hey, so this is a positive. This is what the county receive. It's the best report we can give for an accountability audit. Doesn't mean everything was perfect, but it does mean that in what we looked at, we didn't have any major concerns that we felt needed to be addressed as an audit recommendation for the county commissioners. And then it does say there right at the bottom of the slide, in keeping with general auditing practices, we don't look at everything. You know, we're already taking up plenty of time for the county and its staff during the conducting of the audit. So we can't give an opinion or speak to anything that we didn't look at. And we don't look at everything, but the stuff we did look at was all good there. So the areas that we examined as part of the accountability audit, we arrive at using a risk-based audit approach. And we do a variety of planning procedures to determine and figure out what are the highest areas of risk within the county operations for the audit period that we need to take a look at. And so the county receives a financial and a single audit that we exited back in September. And that looks at how the financial statements are presented and any federal monies and programs that the county has. So this accountability audit covers sort of the everything else, what else within county operations. We have a lot more purview on kind of the areas we can look at and how we test and what we look at. And so these areas that are up on the screen for you all are the areas that we looked at as part of 2023. I won't go through all of them, but I'll give kind of a rough idea of what we did. So the first one there is accounts payable general disbursements. And this is gaining an understanding of the county's operations specifically related to the AP process, how the county pays the bills. You know, what's the process for ensuring that invoices and, you know, charges that the county has, what is the method that these are, you know, reviewed, approved? How do they go through the proper levels of who needs to have eyes on them, and ultimately, you know, sending the checks out and paying these. So we tested a number of transactions, and what we looked at through the process, no issues for what we had. Next area was budget compliance, and this is an area that generally doesn't get looked at too often, but the county was pretty low risk for what we had looked at through our planning procedures. So we kind of went back and got this. And this is gaining an understanding and looking at the county's budget process. You know, how does finance, how does the auditor's office develop the budget? How do you ensure that you're staying within the budget that you set, any amendments that are needed? So that's just kind of gaining an understanding of that process and taking a look at it and ensuring it's following any applicable rules, regulations, and policies. And once again, in what we looked at there, no issues. And then we did a swath of variety of restricted funds for the county. So building and land use permits, county road fund, rural county sales and use tax, veterans fund. We kind of honed in and focused on this area for the county, and restricted funds are an area that we look at for all county audits. And we selected this number. We went through gaining an understanding of, you know, what are the allowable uses of these funds? How does the county get these funds? How does the county spend these funds? And then testing transactions in each of these areas to make sure that they followed as they were supposed to. And once again, in what we examined as part of this, no issues. And then lastly, those two final bullet points, the open public meetings and financial condition. Those are areas that we examine as part of all governmental accountability audits that we conduct. There are required baseline areas that we do. And so for the open public meetings, this is just gaining, you know, reading through the minutes, ensuring that there's compliance with any executive session requirements, any meeting, you know, all the necessary things per the Open Public Meetings Act are included as part of that. And then lastly, financial condition. This is reviewing for indications of financial distress. We have a variety of markers and ratios that our office uses, and, you know, putting the county's financials into those, our own understanding of county operations that we got, you know, during the financial and single audit, updating that as necessary. And once again, what we examined as part of those, we had no issues. So overall, as I said before, a good, clean, easy accountability audit. Additionally, and this is something that doesn't happen on every audit, but we also had a citizen hotline that was submitted for the county. And this hotline had two concerns within it. So I will go through the two slides. We have one slide for the first concern, slide for the second concern, and I will be referencing the county, the hotline letter that was provided to the county as part of what our exit packet was. I would like to point out that this hotline letter is provided to the county, one copy to the county, and then a copy to the citizen who submitted the complaint as well. It is not included as part of our report. It does not go on our website. It is meant for the county and then responding to the citizen who submitted the concern. So just making sure that I put that out there. So the first concern that we have on there is a citizen submitted a concern related to conflict of interest between Pend Oreille County Commissioner John Gentle and the Port of Pend Oreille. And that was the concern that was submitted to us. We reviewed state law to determine what constitutes a conflict of interest per RCW, both generally and specifically for spouses, because we know this is a little bit different. We also reviewed official meeting minutes for the Board of County Commissioners during the audit period and inquired with county officials about this concern. The second paragraph there talks about the two RCWs that we reference and examine as part of this, RCW 4223.030 and RCW 4223.040. And this specifically deals with conflicts of interest and what constitutes in there. And I would like to kind of skip there to the halfway through that second bullet point. For RCW 4223.040, permits a municipal officer to have a remote interest in municipal contracts under certain conditions. And this includes the interest of most non-salaried officers. As both commissioners...
You haven't advanced the slide for us?
Oh, does the slide not show citizen hotline referral up there?
No, no, we're not on the letter itself. We're on the.
So the letter is in the what we sent to the county in an email. This is just the PowerPoint slide.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, my apologies. I'm referencing the letter. My apologies. Perfect. There. For 4223.040 permits municipal officer to have a remote interest. As both commissioners are non-salaried officers of their respective jurisdictions, we determined that the situation qualifies as a remote interest per the RCW. So that's what we're working with for this concern, is a remote conflict of interest. And then we cite a AGO opinion related to conflict if both spouses serve as officers, since officers receive their compensation by reason of their office and not a contract. As the compensation for both the commissioner of the county and the commissioner of the port are not dependent upon the contract between the two jurisdictions, we found that there is not a conflict of interest between Pend Oreille County Commissioner and the Port of Pend Oreille County Commissioner in regards to the contract between the county and the port for the Associated Development Organization, or the ADO. During our review, our audit found no conflicts of interest between the commissioners of the county and the port. However, our audit did find that in the case where an official with voting power has a remote interest in a contract, this RCW requires that remote interest be clearly documented in the official meeting minutes. And based on our review of the meeting minutes, based on our review, we determined that all three commissioners have a remote interest in that potential contract for the new ADO, and only one remote interest was documented in the official meeting minutes before awarding the contract. So we are issuing a minor exit item recommendation that the county ensure any future possible remote interests of officials are clearly documented in those official meeting minutes before voting or ratifying any contracts to ensure that there is no perceived conflict of interest. We also received an email from the same citizen dated in September that included additional concerns for Pend Oreille County, and we looked at those concerns also, which is concern 2 here. And this is the concern of unfair or unequal appraisal by the county assessor's office. So the citizen had a concern that the Pend Oreille County assessor's office was unfairly and unequally appraising properties, and requested a review of the county assessor's administrative policies and procedures regarding the fair evaluation of properties. We make a note in our hotline letter that is important to note that the Washington State Department of Revenue, DOR, also conducts regular audits of all assessors' offices in the state of Washington, and it's available on their websites. We completed a full review of the assessor's office as part of our fiscal year 2022 accountability audit, so the prior accountability audit. During that audit, we reviewed the assessor's written policies and procedures, talked with county officials and staff, and performed a detailed review of the processes for property valuation and real property reevaluation. During that audit, we completed a detailed review of the county's overall assessment ratio for property taxes. This area of property valuations requires special technical knowledge, and DOR reperformed a sample of property assessments and conducted statistical analysis of the county's assessments. DOR also performs ratio studies each year that measure the accuracy of the appraised property values as compared to true market rates or sales prices, and they have ratios that the county must fall into between 0.9 and 1.1 that indicate that appraised values are in a reasonable range of true market value. The assessor's office had combined real property and personal property ratios of 9.3 in 2021 and 0.87 in 2022. Additionally, during our audit, we reviewed a selection of appraisals in the county system to determine if the assessor's office was following its own policies regarding an independent appraisal of personal property. And based on our testing and review of these policies and inquiries with county staff, we determined that the assessor's office is using addition of assessor's manual updates annually to the assessor's office are sufficient to meet the requirements of an independent review of appraisals. So our audit found no indications of issues of independence or conflicts of interest of assessments or valuations of real or personal property. However, because the ratios of the appraisal values are slightly outside of the standards, we did recommend that the assessor's office continue its efforts to implement controls and processes to perform accurate and timely property assessments and valuations. So this is our response to the two concerns that were submitted for the hotline. As I said, this hotline is not included in the report. It is provided to the county, and then a copy of the letter that has the exact same wording will be provided to the citizen once our audit is concluded. So, as I mentioned, we had some minor recommendation. We had one recommendation specifically related to the conflict of interest, remote interest, as I said. And this was just that the county commissioners, when voting on the ADO contract between TED and the Port of Pend Oreille, all three commissioners have a remote interest within the potential contract, and only one of these remote interests was documented in the official meeting minutes. So we are issuing a exit recommendation that the county ensure any possible future remote conflicts of interest are clearly documented and noted in the meeting minutes. And then our second exit item, this wasn't actually related to any of the areas that we examined as part of the audit. It was done as part of our planning procedures. And this was for small and attractive assets. These are assets that are, you know, could grow legs, walk away, as we commonly say. So they're small things such as computers or equipment or tools or things of that nature. And we had issued a prior recommendation to the county to update the written policies, the inventory policy, and the procedures how-to manual related to tracking small and attractive assets. And we know that the county is currently working on this, and we're just recommending that the county, you know, finish and put that into place as part of its operations to ensure that there are controls over this area. So this is just a repeat of a prior exit recommendation. To note for everyone there, exit recommendations are the lowest level of recommendation that we give as part of an audit. They're typically housekeeping items is how we refer to them. So these are not any major issues. These are not issues that are put into our audit report. We just wanted to bring them to the county's attention. And with that, I will hand it over to Brad for some closing remarks.
Okay, so kind of going through the audit costs. So those were in alignment with our original estimate. So we didn't have to do any sort of significant increases. Typically that would happen if we had findings or management letters, or if we had significant delays in getting information from the audit client, which we didn't have. We've always had a really good working relationship with the county. Everyone there is very responsive and helpful in trying to get us what we need to get the audit completed. So I think, you know, one, you have a clean audit report, as Alex referenced, but also that does, you know, kind of line up, and that you're essentially helping to save the taxpayers money, because we don't have to do increases in audit costs that we do have to do on other audits that we complete. For next year, so the audit would be in the year 2025. This would be for fiscal year 2024. So we're always sort of auditing the year behind, essentially. We're going to be doing the same three audits. So we'd be doing accountability, financial statement, and federal programs. And I added an estimated cost for that in the exit packet. So you have the cost for that. And then just one thing just to note, I know Alex had mentioned this to the county, but he actually is still with the state auditor's office, but he now, he received a promotion to work on our special investigation team. Unfortunately, as I know your county is aware, we've had a pretty big increase in fraud statewide and probably nationwide. And so our office is investigating a lot more frauds than we had in the past. So he has an opportunity to help with that and be part of that team. So we'll still get to work with him. He may even potentially be doing an exit, hopefully not for your county, but if your county did have a fraud, then you might be working with him in that role. So I will have a different supervisor for the next audit. I haven't planned who that would be yet. Walter Green, who's been the auditor in charge of your audit before, he actually, I promoted him to Alex's former position. So it's possible he could be the supervisor of this audit. So just kind of wanted to let you know that. Next slide. So for the report publication, so after the exit today, we'll document who all was at the exit, and then I let Olympia know that the report is ready to be published. It typically takes about a week, so I would anticipate probably around next Thursday, the report will be on our website at 10 a.m. That's when it essentially becomes a public record, as anyone can access it on our website. They can also access reports, or really any for any client that we audit wide. The other part of once those reports are published, survey goes to selected members management. So if you receive an email to complete a survey, and you can do that, we appreciate that. That information goes to me, and it kind of lets me know how my team is doing, if there's things we're doing well, things we can improve on, suggestions, anything like that. So if you have the time to do that, I appreciate it. And then we wanted to just say a thank you. We try to do that at the end of each audit. We know it is quite a process to get through an audit. We also understand that you all have your day-to-day duties you're doing for your own job. And so when we're coming and asking for additional documents, questions, that sort of thing, that puts a little bit of a strain on you. And so we appreciate that county officials and staff really have timely communication throughout the audit process, both in person and remotely. Really wanted to thank Jill in particular. We work with her quite a bit through all of our audits. And so we appreciate all the help that she gives us to get to the conclusion of the audit. And then the last slide is just any comments, questions. We can take those now. You have my contact information on the slide. And then in that exit packet, you also have Shelby and Alex's contact information.
Thank you, you guys. Alex, congratulations on your promotion. That's exciting. Well, kinda. I mean,
yeah.
I don't love that position was needed, but no, congratulations to you. That's great.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate working with, Mary Ann, Jill, Nicole. I've been on your guys' audit in some form, I think, for like the last 6-7 years. So I just appreciate working with all of you for the past while, and just the professionalism, the camaraderie. It's been amazing. Hopefully I don't have to work with y'all again, because that probably means it's not a good situation. But thank you all so much for working with me the past couple of years.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, congratulations on a good audit, Crystal. Thank you for your part on the open public meetings part. That was great. And then Jill and finance, that was great, you guys. Nice work. Yeah, it's not been signed yet.
So
It's supposed to be signed. Yes. Okay.
this is not the current version of this.
Oh, okay. You have that, so you can. Do you want me to print that out, or do you need to print it out?
No, my question is are these recommendations referenced in this letter?
No, nothing's recommended, or there's nothing with this that's in that
Okay.
letter there.
So
That's our recommendation, stating that we have complied with all that and disclosed everything that they wanted. So that has nothing to do with this.
okay, so I'm just curious, the presence of this document right now.
Oh, I just had printed them out last week when they sent them over to me, and I guess I just didn't print out the new ones. So
Okay.
yeah, that was So we need.
Yeah, we had a minor edit on that yesterday. So I do apologize if there is an older older version of that out there.
Yeah, that was my fault. I just printed them out when they got sent. So
Okay, do you need a motion then to authorize the chair to sign this?
We'll wait.
Or no?
We'll wait.
We'll wait, okay, all right.
all right. Well, thanks, you guys. I think we're good on everything. So that's awesome.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for taking the time to meet with us today.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone.
You guys. Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
all
Okay.
your-
All right.
See you next
Bye.
year.
Almost here.
Yeah, that was supposed to have been sent back over to him before we did our meeting today.
Got it.
If I could have a motion to have the chair sign the representations letter to the Office of the Washington State Auditor regarding the 2023 audit.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 I'll get that sent over right away.
So outstanding work.
Nice job.
This is one kind of the whole county doing their parts. So I just direct them. Because I'm not responsible for all the county. doing their
I like how you
parts.
say that. I'm not responsible.
But you all have enough to do, and you manage that in stride and
I can-
do it so
I
well.
can guide the person so that they give the correct information.
Yes, and whenever you get an email from me, we get it pretty quickly, so, okay.
Thank you,
That's good
Crystal.
news.
It's certainly something I hope we never take for granted because one
Yeah.
day you're just not gonna have it go that way. We're gonna go, oh no. Where's Jill?
Then the sheriff should be coming over.
We have, even Joanne came in early.
Hello.
Oh, and the sheriff, how are you?
How's everybody?
Hello.
Perfect.
Anybody need a drink similar to this? Oh, fine, thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
No, they moved it to Thursday night.
Accident.
That's what we heard.
Oh, right, yeah, that's awful.
Oh, so if I could ask you a question now, I'm doing a voucher for the fair. Do I do the fair, which hand delivered to Barb, or do I do the Fair and Rodeo Association, which is mailed? For their vouchers, do we usually just have to pick it up? It's 2 different distance.
To the association itself.
Yeah, one says Monterey County Fair,
Uh-huh.
and the address is Barb picks it up.
Right.
The other option is Fair and Rodeo Association, and it's mailed to a post office box.
Right, they're two separate places.
Well, 2 separate.
One's the fair and one's the association. And we don't
If I
have our
my
backs
voucher
to
to
you.
for the requesting reimbursement for the
Well, I think that's just the regular fair. Because they spend that money on the fair. The association has their own bank account, and they're a nonprofit. And they aren't paying for those, the regular fairs, so we pick the regular fair.
Hello, Sheriff, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
There you are.
From Tri-County Judicial to State Auditor to now you guys, so.
Are we the last? Yeah. And we have a meeting
Maybe.
at 3:00, broadband.
Only chronologically, you're the last. You're the first.
Save the best for
in our
last.
hearts.
You can sit in the meeting with me on Zoom.
That's a no. Sounded like a no to me.
Maybe you'll give me a summary, Robert.
Cliff's notes.
She doesn't want to have to stay super late again tonight.
Yes, we did $14,000 in concealed weapons permits.
I love signing those.
You know, ish, but right in there. That's great.
Being right next to Ida, well, it's. Yeah.
Whenever I buy a gun at North 40, they say Monterey County's the fastest. They're just the fastest, because it's been a little bit. But
Yeah. We actually hear that quite a bit.
yeah.
The folks were impressed with how quickly Sierra.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks when the courts were all down and we couldn't get.
Well, yeah, that puts a little key.
All right, it's 2:30. I see this time is serving three primary purposes. Others are welcome to chime in if they see additional ones. The first is to, in this setting, to confirm that what has been a tentative agreement among the three commissioners is in fact the agreement for your budget. The second is to make sure that that has translated accurately into Jill's view of the world. And then to have the discussion whether, you know, your thoughts on that proposed budget, and to cover some of the procedural aspects related to the dollar amounts that will need to be settled in fairly short order, like in the next,
Weeks, I mean, before we adopt the budget,
before we adopt the budget. Okay,
and that's,
December 30th.
so.
okay, all right. Anybody like to add or subtract from that?
I would prefer if we had it done before then, because I have to have it all in the.
This is the high
computer
priority for us as
beforehand.
well. So.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right, let's start with the first of those priorities. Would either of my fellow commissioners like to articulate what the soft understanding is? If not,
You go ahead, Robert, 'cause
Okay.
at this point of the day, my brain's starting.
all right. So, my understanding, road reimbursement.
Yes.
At $270,000. Then as a separate item, it will be we call it a block grant as a working program at $200,000. That's within the discretion of the sheriff's department, subject to some of the restrictions that we'll later talk about. Did I get that close to right, gentlemen?
One of them is subject to.
One of them, right, one of those two items, the two, I can never remember which it is, which is subject to getting the sheriff's department to submit a list of.
I'll just convey the broader sentiment.
Thank you.
The 200 is to spend at the sheriff's discretion. In your.
Right,
And
that was,
and the
yeah.
170.
270.
270.
Well, it's 270, but that includes 100,000 that we've historically gotten, so
Yes.
it's an increase of 170.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
The broader sentiment is this: you're elected by the people, you answer to them, and you know your priorities better than we do. But where we're coming from in this budget is we aren't spending more money than we have, but we are spending more money than we have revenue. Right, that makes sense. We're finding money from other places, and so our intent is that you have a pot to address your priorities however you see fit, and that you have a pot that we would essentially insist can be used for one-time costs, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Don't use this pot to fill up employees, because you might be laying them off, is the concept that and so if that's clear enough, that's really not looking to interfere, not looking to step over lines, but would just be wise budgeting, you know, for our part, right? We're not gonna have the revenue, no crystal balls here, right? We can't guarantee the revenue, so.
Okay. Sounds fair.
So did we kind of embed number two in this for the second priority and discussion of the first priority? Does that line up with what you have
Yes, so
capture?
you have total of 370,000 to go towards your request list with some of that for one-time funding. Now,
Such as like buying the tasers or buying that types of.
Or
things that
if
are not
you
recurring
had an
expenses.
employee that you're gonna put with the 200,000, your car for them is a one-time cost, correct?
Yes.
And their clothing and.
Right.
Those first time costs will be a one-time cost. Hopefully you're not buying them a brand new car every year.
We try to avoid that.
There's the small ongoing cost of that car, but.
Right. Okay. Sounds fair.
We were just concerned with the ongoing costs, if we would be able to make those all, each year after
Right.
this, so. We did have a little bit of, we have a higher ending fund balance than we'd anticipated, and then we're using the rest of the ARPA funds to balance the county's budget this year, so.
Right.
So just so you know, that we didn't balance well, but we balanced.
We've made it work.
Yeah, had we
But
not.
the commissioners was a priority to help you with some of yours, so.
And I appreciate that. And I think we came into this, certainly from our side, came into this expecting we were going to hear the word no, probably significantly. So my goal through this process is to try to, as clearly as possible, articulate what our true needs are. I know a couple of them, I had a hard time articulating. I know they're a need, but how do I explain? As the example of the dispatchers, I can't fill the appointments I have, but I truly do need more. I get it, but I have to articulate those to you guys. So I fully anticipated hearing no and some limitations. So I'm glad that you guys have made us a priority. I appreciate that. We will do our best to spend it wisely to the benefit of the public. And we'll certainly be in contact with you and Jill as to kind of what our intent is with that money. So where we're going. Obviously, our budget comes from you folks, so you need to be assured that we are spending it wisely. So clear communication from our end as far as where that money is intended to go is a priority for us. Making sure that you're well aware. I don't want to spend the money just kind of willy-nilly and throw it out there because it's there to spend. I want to spend it on true needs that will benefit.
So if you could work with Jill and get that to her just as soon as you can, so she can plug it into the right spots.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
And Glenn, I think you're wrong. I think you did an exceptional job of demonstrating need. Just to say, I was having a heart attack all the way home and every day since then. They all sounded like dire and urgent or emergent. I certainly wish we could do more, but it's a responsible budget writing, right?
Yeah.
So
And I think we are going to have a paradigm shift, Glenn, not just but even in roads, where we're trying to transfer from the procedure of this is how much money we have, go do the best you can with it, to hearing from you guys of this is what we feel like would do this job justice. And then we're gonna put the onus on us and we're gonna do the best we can to get close to that. Okay, and so that's a little bit of a paradigm shift, I think. So that's what we ask you to do, and I think you did a good job of it.
It actually kicks it back to us a little bit more too, to seek out those funding opportunities that, there's plenty of them out there. There's a lot of government funding for law enforcement. Most of it has a lot of strings attached. And Don and I have both been in meetings the last couple of weeks over the court security position, trying to find funding or maintain funding. And there's a balance of what we can commit to and what we can't commit to, but it's making us dig harder so we can find those revenue sources and make it easier for everybody to justify things, or to pay for the things that we do need. So it's kind of renew our efforts as to being a participating partner in that and finding those funding sources that are reasonable for our county.
Don, I will say, and I don't know when you'll be able to make use of this resource, but the port just won an additional $50,000 for a second grant writer, and the second grant writer is for the county, for all of the entities in the county, right? So they have one full-time on staff, and this is, I don't remember if it was revenue or commerce, or this was an additional one that they have specifically said at this table and otherwise. Community has needs, county has whoever. Right,
Can
and
we use them
so,
tomorrow?
yeah, right, exactly. And so I think there will be a little bit of shuffling over the next couple of weeks for them to get that in place. I expect, in fact, they don't even know if they're gonna 1099 versus an actual hire or whatever. But I wanna bring that up now, and then if you have questions, we go forward, we can certainly get that information. Yeah, it's like what we need to be doing is writing grants on top of everything else, right? So, yeah. That's what I do.
To the degree it does not add to the already significant burdens on your time. So this is a really soft request. Because in your initial budget presentation, you did a really good job of weaving together the various individual requests into a coherent strategic approach. This is now reduced from that. So to the degree that it doesn't significantly burden your time, I'd like to maybe during the first quarter of 2025, get a narrative on, okay, these are the strategic implications of the deployment of resources that we have and how it might impact the sort of the consumer.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Okay.
And some of that can be reflected in our annual report that I try to have. So it reflects in there kind of what some of our goals are moving forward for the next year. And so some of that can be wrapped into there. But certainly we'll make a separate document for that so that you can see that.
Don't spend too much time on that.
It'll be time well spent.
Okay.
So. Anything else?
No, I mean, you guys are clear, the number piece is gonna be between, be at this table or otherwise, but the number piece, you know, where you decide Jill's gonna need bars, codes and whatever else, but that's kind
I
of.
assume it's gonna be things that you already asked for, which I already have in here. I'll just plug them back in.
Exactly.
I might offer a friendly amendment. Jill, this is really friendly. To the assumption that it's something that's already in there. If with a lower resource base, your thinking shifts to, given this is the resource constraint, it'd be more effectively deployed if we used these different resources, assets that weren't contained in the original proposal. So, is that okay? Okay, good.
And we've kind of been preparing for this, so we've kind of gone over what our priorities are and what those costs are involved in that. So it should speed up the process for us. Jill's provided a lot of numbers, you know, pre-budget hearing, you know, so that we can kind of knew what numbers we were working with. So we should be able to streamline that and make that a pretty painless process for all of us, because we kind of know where our numbers line up and what our priorities have been. So. And speaking of the priorities, I just wanted you guys to know, again, we expected to know, you know, to hear the word no a lot, but I really appreciate working with you three commissioners and also with Jill and Marianne on the budget process. When it comes to our union negotiations for our staff, when it comes to these budget negotiations for our annuals, we feel like we're a priority for, feel like you guys are intently listening to what it is that we're saying, what we're asking for, what our needs, and feel that you are addressing them, you know, as best you can with the resources that are. So I just want to, you know, say thank you for your guys' efforts, because I know it's a lot of work for a lot of folks, and we are not the only thing that you guys have to worry about. There's a lot of people asking for money that isn't there, so we appreciate your efforts on that, and it's just part of being this county team. It's good to be a part of.
Amen.
Yeah, to me, it's like I've been working sprinkler systems for 20 years, and sprinkler system something that you don't want to know it exists. You only know it exists when it's a problem, right? And so in that regard, it's like, well, the idea that I don't hear with great frequency how unsafe it is out and about Pend Oreille County. It says you're doing your job, but you know, that's against the backdrop of us being 51st in the nation for deputy per capita. So it's like, for my part, I like to see your vision for the department. This is what the department should look like for Pend Oreille County, and really, you know, try and chunk away at it. We're broke.
They were trying to come up with a way they could, you know, fund that amount over the next 7 years. It's just, we don't know what those years are gonna look like, and honestly.
Chessboard, Ouija board.
Yeah,
you know,
the 270 that we backfilled the road department back with, we only get about $200,000 a year into that fund. So, you know, we're eating down on
They had a lot of pieces of their puzzle this year.
you should see some of the notes that Jill, yeah,
So
that's
true.
for today.
Too many pieces. Next year, not so many pieces. Yeah.
Well, a lot of things too, though, that we bring to you is the liabilities that we see in our profession.
Yeah.
And if we didn't bring those to you, then we're not doing justice either.
Yeah.
So, and
it is my expectation you guys are going to fight like hell for everything in your department, and that's the way that goes. And that's an expectation of every department. You guys do have a little bit of the luxury to see it in the vacuum, and it's not what we have. So that's where it gets tough. I think this year, clearly roads and sheriff department was, you know, needed some cash infusion.
I'm a bit confused at the state level, because we know from coming from our law enforcement conference a week or two ago that our governor-elect has very openly said that emergency services law enforcement is a high priority as far as, you know, funding and getting back in line. At the same time, the state legislature says that local law enforcement is not a state responsibility, and so I'm not sure where that's going to shake out. I hope some of it kind of gets down to us at some level. I'm hopeful that there are people that are sympathetic to emergency services specifically to law enforcement. So we're.
All I heard is they want to send you rules, but no money.
That's really, yes.
Maybe it's the other way. I doubt it, Glenn.
No, that's a trend.
And that's not even for the patrol side of it, but also corrections.
Corrections, I think you guys.
They're now requiring our corrections officers to have a mandatory 24 hours of training, every year now.
Yeah.
And so the majority of that training is, we can do some of it in-house, but a lot of it is, out of house too.
Yeah, I suspect it's gonna be a net loss. Because so many times, even when there is a source of revenue, it requires some hoops to jump through. And almost always, and if we're lucky, it won't be hoops to jump through without revenue.
Yeah. Well,
We might be surprised on that one. I think 3 different articles this morning, the defund the police stuff has dropped off sharply. People are paying predictable.
But I haven't heard the refund of the.
No.
That's
I'm assuming they're tied, but maybe that's optimistic.
And also with the jails, we know again from conference and from the past year or two that, the state is going to come forward with standards for the jail, which is, something we're trying to predict out there, what are the most likely emergent mandates from them on that. And so we're trying to get ahead of that curve, or at least be prepared for that curve as best as we possibly can. So
that's a prominent conversation for this upcoming legislative session. So I'll spend a little time with you guys to understand. I'm not sure our facility has great urgent needs, but I would like to understand the timeline of it. Like, when will it, and what should we be doing?
And it's not only just facility design, but staffing numbers. And not only staffing numbers, but specific individuals working those staffings, whether it be female. If we house female inmates, then you need to have a female corrections officer on 24 hours a day. Medical staffing. I mean, there's so many different components involved in that.
How many jails shut down recently?
there's been a couple. Garfield is probably the most recent one. There's a couple others that. And for us, you've looked at that. What does that look for us regionally? If we had to, for whatever reason, shut down our jail, and we're not at that point, but if we had to, where would they go? Stevens County has got the approval to build their jail. I don't think they've broken ground on it yet. And the sheriff and the undersheriff have both assured me that it's already too small. What is projected is already too small for their needs. So realistically, they can't take anything, and the time going across and back and forth across the hill is ridiculous. Spokane is already at critical mass, so they won't be taking it. So regionally, what would we have? Really nothing. It'd be a stretch to get anybody to take our inmates.
Yeah. And when they look at regional jails, most of it is a concept of a congested area. So some of the jails that have been closing are city jails, some of the larger cities over on the coast. They can go to a regional jail because it's, within half an hour, 45 minutes.
Sure.
But you get out in the rural areas, we're looking at a 3/4 of the shift of the deputy just doing a transport.
Yeah.
So.
And then realistically, can you shut the jail down completely? Because then you still have to, if I arrest somebody, I need someplace to bring them so that somebody else, a corrections officer, can transport them to a full-time facility. What about court? You have to have someplace for them to come up for court hearings. If we're housing them in Stevens County or Spokane, they've got to be able to get here. We've got to have a place to hold them when they're not actually in the court.
Still have to have pretty much the same staff.
Still have to have staff. And so it's, it really becomes cost prohibitive.
Well, they seem to be continuing to fund those studies, so it's, I know they've had several requests to you guys for information, corrections information.
And we're trying to participate on the correction side and the patrol side with current studies that are going on for like pursuits and use of force and all these different things. Because I don't think small communities, small counties have participated to a large degree. So all they're getting is these mid to large size agencies going, this, that, and the other thing. They're really not getting our voice. So we're participating in those a lot more than we used to, just so that we can be heard.
I'm glad to hear it. I can't imagine how dramatically that would skew your numbers at the state level. Well, my response time in Tacoma is 2 minutes. My response time in Padre County might be 72 minutes.
Yeah.
Not on average, but not unheard of.
Not unheard of, no. And we've had officers from other jurisdictions, Seattle and those areas that have come over and They won't work for a small agency because backup is not that.
It's not
close.
there,
It terrifies them. They cannot work in
terrifies
that
me.
environment. Yeah. So.
Be
so
there
it's
in an
different.
hour.
Yeah, yeah.
Good luck on the ground
Yeah,
wrestling with
yeah,
that guy. I'll
yeah.
be there in an hour, yeah.
So, but yeah, we will all continue to forge ahead the best we can. Perfect.
Thanks for what you guys do. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate all the support and help.
You have no idea how much they've kicked around and how much time they spent trying to figure out how to bend you guys as much as they could.
So we've got a problem in their neck, a pain in their neck.
So procedurally.
We're getting the tasers.
Do we have time set up for a subsequent meeting, and do we need one, or can the sheriff and Jill work this out? How best to proceed?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay with communicating with Jill
Because you've
about this.
approved the number, so as long as you don't care about seeing
I-
where it's going.
I'm comfortable with this level. Are you both comfortable with just?
Yeah, we take forward it out.
Then next year, if there's like a vehicle purchase, that'll still go through the head sheet process.
Right.
Just as
Sure.
any other.
Yeah, and hiring, you'd still come in and.
Yeah.
request
You
to
have
hire.
the concept, get as close as you can, and we have the same trust in you that the people do. So.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome. Good to hear that.
Is that a ball, Joe?
Nice to see it on.
What?
Look at that.
Amen. Love it.
Woo.
You even out early.
Yay.
Done? See you later.
Okay. We covered a lot of ground. Thank you so much.
Thanks. 2 days on a lot of ground.
All right, anything we need to cover at this table before we go back up onto the first?
Yeah, but nothing I'm allowed to say out loud.
Okay.
To my swearing in ceremony.
Thought that was swearing at.
Continue the light here right here. So. Wrap up, I think it's great. That would you like to?
I need to know, because I received, is John going to do LSC again this year?
Going to be what,
Are you going to do LSC again?
2025?
Yes.
I mean, unless someone has an objection to it.
I have zero interest, zero objection.
Have that, yes.
We can do the agenda for next week.
Great.
Monday, December 9th. After your consent packet at 10:30, you have another budget workshop, up to an hour and a half of you today. And these. Okay, Brenda said she doesn't have anything next week, so she can just cancel her update. Fine with you guys? And have on schedule for. I was saying I needed to juggle 3 different people because Dolly needed to go early and Shannon had to go later. So 1:30 is Dolly's legal update.
Okay.
2 o'clock is Shannon's counseling update. 2:30 is Jeff Koppel's TED update.
Okay.
And then public comment at 4. If nothing else fills in, I may move up your public comment.
Went downstairs to work with Teresa for about a half hour. So
Brenda,
We'll cancel your update next week.
okay, very good. Yeah.
are we 9 in the morning here?
Yes, 9
Okay,
o'clock,
thank you.
please. Thank you.
And Tuesday, December 10th, 9:15, Jesse Larson Public Works update, 10:30, Shane Flowers IT update. 1:30 in the afternoon is your direct reports meeting. I was gonna ask you if you would please consider any topics that you want to bring up and bring those up. We have an hour scheduled for that. 2:30 is levy certification. So I'm collecting all of the levies, resolutions that have came in.
Oh, right.
I'll do a resolution, maybe Jim will do the resolution, and you guys will pass that whole packet of reviewing your districts and everybody. And then I have scheduled from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock visiting the county departments in this building. or annex. And then the following week, the outline buildings. Okay. So Tuesday at 4 o'clock, I show Family Crisis Network. 5:30 Planning Commission in this meeting room. 6 o'clock Medellin Falls Town Council. Wednesday, you all have the Pend Oreille Representatives meeting at PUD. And you received the agenda via email.
I haven't looked at that very close. That's at the PUD.
Yes.
We're not going there. Okay.
At 1 o'clock is Tri-County Health District budget meeting. 2 o'clock is the lead board. 7 o'clock is Medellin Town Council. And Thursday, December the 12th, North Pend Oreille Chamber of Commerce. Friday, 10:30 a.m. Squirrels. Back of your things to do. I have memorized your mission statement.
Okay, no, there will be a test.
At your representatives meeting, they might ask you guys, what is your mission statement? Also, I put on this probably 2 months ago, this editorial guest opinion, John Janey, the clarification of issues where he talks about overcoming challenges, planning for the future. That kind of goes in line with what you would like to do as far as reaching out with information. I thought that was a great example of just really getting information out to the public.
Oh, it is.
Maybe something for next year, if there's a topic.
Yeah,
that you'd like to.
I think they're, what they're trying to accomplish is a good example, of probably what needs to be done with roads. It is a full court press of, this is what we see, this is what we're looking at, how would you like us to address it?
And people really can't claim they haven't heard about it because
They
they are
can't.
getting out and
They
about.
will and can. Oh,
All right. So that is everything. You'll stay so I can get those hotel motel packets.
you bet.
Oh, I should put that
I
on
can't go
our.
anywhere, there's full of batteries down in my car, so.
Okay, I need to put that on our agenda too.
You can use my car.
Hold on. Unless you want me to drive to Belly Falls.
No, you can start my car and use the battery to jump yours.
Oh, yeah.
10 a.m. next week, hotel
I
motel
think,
tax.
I think Kirkwood's got, he's still down there. Let me check.
Let me ask you this question. Do you feel like that meeting, the hotel motel tax must be Zoom?
No. I don't. You ask me, last time. So, it's a short drive. Why, it's pretty easy for them to Zoom if we're having a Medellin.
Yes, I just don't know if it's necessary.
I don't think it's necessary, but it doesn't hurt. I don't,
Okay.
but it's necessary.
You don't advertise it that way.
Yeah. At once where the miner was zoomed in.
That's all I have.
That's your general, anything else?
Oh, while it's fresh in my mind, yes. I did go down and I talked to Chrissy about this.
Okay.
And about with regards to, are we gonna see another ask like this for chip sealing next year? To 426.
Right, based on pre-level.
Based on beyond, and she told me, and then she called me up and followed up. She talked to Roy and she talked to Jesse, and it is absolutely a product of this. So we're gonna see next year, these items, if they're done in 25, we will see these move up to chip seal. And in so much that we add or reduce this number, it will add or reduce this number for the next half. And also, in so much, if we reduce this number, let's say that we did 1 through 7, then that means 8 through 10 will be added to
We'll
the.
still be on that list for next year.
Still be on that list. But it is absolutely connected to this pre-leveling pay.
And that is what is scheduled.
Right.
Any emergence,
Right.
like Lehigh Hill was actually an emergent line.
And-
Hey, this is problem, get up here and breathe.
It is a certain amount of it is the utilization of forces in an efficient manner based on the revenue and time for the year. So it is a little bit of flux, and that's exactly what you're saying. It's a little bit of the utilization of their time and base.
That's a rough.
That's very helpful.
Okay, yeah, we'll dig into that.
There is one other item, Commissioner. So can I start scheduling these, interested people for volunteer board positions? So Planning Commission, we have John Spring. And this new one that came in, Tamara. We have for the library board, Seth Massey. So can I schedule these? And then we also have interested people in reappointments. Weed board, Tom Holford, and civil service Heather Green. Do you feel I need to do interviews or just reappoint?
We will have that broader discussion next week. All right, we are going to adjourn until next Wednesday at 9 a.m.
Thanks for joining us. The commissioners are adjourned for the day.